Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Suzy Rowland and I work in the field of neurodiversity as an author, speaker, trainer and CBT therapist, specifically in the area of children and young people. So we're here today to have a short chat with Ruth Williams and David Moat in advance of the Wimbledon Guild Conference 2022 on neurodiversity. And I'm delighted to be hosting this conference as the chair. And the conference takes place on Saturday, the 19th of November this year. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome one of the speakers at the conference, David Moat.
Hello, thank you, Suzy. Yes, my name is David Moat. I'm a psychotherapist based up in Cambridgeshire. My wife and I have a practice in a little village in East Cambridgeshire. She works as a play therapist. I tend to work with adults, but we're both, as well as our general practice, seeing a lot of people with varying degrees of neurodiversity. One of my older specialisms is working with people on the autism spectrum. I've done that for many years, but we're seeing a huge increase in referrals from people with ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and a range of other things too. My talk at the conference is going to be based around relationships, the sort of relationships that we might find that are shared between somebody with neurodiversity and somebody who may be neurotypical. And it's going to look at some of the problems that come up, some of the things that we might be presented with in the counselling room when we're doing some couples therapy. We'll be looking at trying to understand the different operating systems that are going on, and looking at how to bridge the gap sometimes between those systems. We may well be looking at things like the various love languages that are used by neurotypical people, and of course those that are used by people who are more neurodivergent, because they're different. And then we'll be finishing up by looking at ways of helping the communication between couples, particularly within these kind of relationships. Hopefully,
David, that sounds brilliant. That sounds really good. I can't wait to hear that in full. And I'd also like to welcome Ruth Williams to the floor. And I can't wait to hear a little bit about your work, your background, and also your presentation. So please do share, where it all began for you, Ruth.
Yeah. So thanks, Suzy. Yeah, I'm Ruth Williams. I'm based in Leeds, West Yorkshire, and I have a practice that specialises in working with individuals and couples that are neurodiverse. Like David, I see a lot of clients who have autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, and I'm very passionate about my work. I run a consultancy with my partner Deborah Wortman, which is Aspire Autism Consultancy, which we set up in 2014 because we recognised there was a huge demand for this type of work. We also run many training courses for therapists and for members of the public to help them understand neurodiversity better, and we offer clinical supervision.
Brilliant, thank you. So tell me a little bit about your presentation at the conference, Lost in Translation. It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so I'm very aware that there's so many people that struggle because they're either misunderstood or things get misinterpreted, and that happens both sides. And as we know, this isn't just the neurodivergent people who are having difficulties, it's neurotypical people. It's the communication between the two. And my talk will be looking at how that plays out in the workplace, in family relationships, within education, and the reasons behind that, because as therapists, many of us are not taught about neurodiversity when we do our training. And that's why I feel very passionate about training therapists, because some of this stuff is very subtle, but of course, if we've got an awareness of why people really struggle to process, for instance, auditory information, some people struggle to process, particularly in a group conversation. And so in family gatherings or group meetings at work, the communication can become very stilted. And also there can be misinterpretations, again, on both sides. So I'll be looking at alexithymia, the difficulty expressing emotion. I'll be talking about turn taking and difficulty coming into conversations. And I'll be looking at the sorts of ways as therapists that we can support people that are having a whole host of difficulties in their emotional regulation and the way they communicate. And I will stress, this is not about changing the way people communicate. It's about both sides getting an understanding of how to relate better with one another. So it's very important that I say that this is not about helping somebody that's neurodivergent to become neurotypical. It's quite the opposite. It's about getting all of us to understand each other's way of communicating better.
Fantastic. That sounds so interesting. There are some sort of similarities and overlaps, but I'm sure you'll bring a different approach to your presentations, and I can't wait to hear them. I will also, as the chair, be giving a presentation on creativity and individuality, the emotional expressions of neurodiversity, looking at how neurodivergent people express themselves and self-advocate, and also, you know, achieve a state of self-actualization, you know, through very often difficulties in all the things you described, Ruth, difficulties in education, difficulties in relationships, difficulties in work, and the role that creativity plays in helping neurodivergent people to find themselves, express themselves and feel a sense of purpose and place. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I've been talking to some fascinating people about their journey, you know, their journey to diagnosis and beyond, and how creativity has helped them find themselves and understand themselves better. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to sharing that. And I think there'll be overlaps with all the presentations that we're giving. So, and finally, also, you know, in terms of the therapeutic practice, how therapists may wish to include a creative element in their practice, whether or not you're a play therapist or a therapist assigned to some kind of creative activity. You know, maybe it's a sense of looking at yourself and how you may want to find a point of commonality and trust through creativity in your session. So there's loads of things to discuss there, and I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you both for sharing a little flavour of your presentations. It's going to be a really interesting conference. There is so much out there at the moment on neurodiversity. You know, both through individuals and through teaching and learning, and hopefully breaking down barriers, and, you know, getting to a point of, you know, proper acceptance and equity in society. So I think there's lots to talk about, and we look forward to seeing lots of you there. As a reminder, it will be on Saturday the 19th of November, and there'll be more information about how you can get tickets at the end of this clip. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you then. There'll also be plenaries. I mustn't forget that, it's very important. We do want you to get involved. There will be plenaries after each of our presentations, so you'll have your opportunity to ask questions and discuss, and, you know, take away some, hopefully some interesting learning points for your practice. So thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.